In a sign of the changing shape of global financial markets, a stock exchange off the coast of East Africa, best known for its pioneering digital listings, has registered the world's fastest growth rate. In contrast with shrinking capitalization globally, the World Federation of Exchanges' latest data show that MERJ exchange expanded by 325% in the past year to 1.2 billion US dollars. Now, the pace surpasses even the 318% for Tadawul, which listed Saudi Aramco as the world's most valuable company last year. Now, most of the world's 83 stock exchanges have seen capitalization decline on average by 7%. That's according to the data compiled by the WFE for the 12 months to the end of February. Joining me now is the MERJ Exchange Head of Strategy, Jim Nedam. Hi, Jim. Thank you for joining us.
Hi there. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Now, according to the latest figures from the World Federation of Exchanges, MERJ Exchange is now officially the fastest growing stock exchange anywhere in the world, expanding 325%. What's behind this growth?
So I think what we've tried to focus on is efficiency. So we've tried to strip out unnecessary costs, and we've tried to strip out unnecessary red tape, whilst also delivering a global investment market and high regulatory standards. And it's proving very popular. I mean, we've had listings from Asia, Africa, the US, across a whole diverse range of sectors as well. So I think it's that we've struck a chord with issuers. We've listened to what issuers are looking for, and we've tried to deliver.
Right. The growth is remarkable, particularly because this is a time when, even before coronavirus, stock exchanges around the world have been struggling to grow. In fact, capitalization for most of the 83 stock exchanges listed by the World Federation of Exchanges have shrunk during the past year. How is MERJ Exchange able to expand during the current financial climate?
Yeah, good question. I mean, as you pointed out, this data actually predates the start of the tough bit of the coronavirus pandemic, because it runs, the World Federation of Exchange data runs to the end of February, the preceding 12 months. So what we've really been, like I said, we're committed to a kind of a low-cost approach, and we're here, and we will remain here throughout this difficult and challenging environment to help issuers find the capital they need or find the liquidity they need. I think technology could be one of the sort of beneficiaries of this upset. I don't think the world is going to go back to how it was pre-coronavirus, and it's sort of accelerating the adoption of technology. And I think a neat illustration is, our exchange now, there is no physical marketplace where people go to trade. It's all done electronically and digitally. So everything can continue operating. And that wouldn't have been possible, not that many years ago. And even now, there are some exchanges which have had to close because of the physical meeting and the inability to socially isolate.
Now, the other notable stock exchange growing quickly is Saudi Arabia's Tadawul. Now, are there parallels between MERJ's growth and the Saudi exchange?
Actually, I think they're very different. The Saudi exchange has listed the biggest IPO in history, I believe, with Saudi Aramco, which is a huge state oil asset. MERJ's growth has very much come from a diversified range of smaller issuers and a diversified range of sectors. So we're not quite so heavily reliant on one listing in one industry.
All right, you did mention technology, of course, which is one of the hallmarks of MERJ Exchange, which it has, of course, been the first listing on any stock exchange worldwide of tokenized equity, which uses distributed ledger technology to make transactions more efficient compared with traditional stocks. And of course, it allows fractionalization of larger investment chunks, if I'm right. How is it that MERJ Exchange has been able to take this direction before any other exchanges? And what has the level of interest in this area been like?
So we see technology, and in particular distributed ledger technology, as a brilliant tool for delivering these efficiency gains. That's one of the tools we're harnessing to enable us to strip out some of these costs. And I think over time the benefits of the technology will be felt more strongly by us, by our issuers, and by even regulators. The reason we've been able to do it, and other exchange groups have been slower to adopt it, is that we are relatively new exchange, but we also in other markets, the full life cycle of a security can be separated out into different entities. So an exchange, a clearing system, and a depository or registry could be three separate organizations. And that fragmentation makes it difficult to adopt new technologies like distributed ledger. Because we have those pieces of infrastructure integrated within MERJ, we are able to integrate this technology much more easily.
So what's the significance of the fact that the world's fastest growing stock exchange is in Africa?
I have to say, I mean, this is an enormous source of pride for us. We set out to build MERJ to be to service the Seychelles economy, but also to provide a venue for African companies, African entrepreneurs, and African investors. It was a venue that would maximize the use of mobile phones and that technology to really engage with the African region.
All right, thank you very much for your time, Jim. Jim Nedan is the MERJ Exchange Head of Strategy. And the International Monetary Fund is set to provide $11 billion to 32 countries in sub-Saharan Africa that have requested assistance in fighting the coronavirus pandemic and its impact on the region's economies. These steps by the IMF and its partners, the World Bank, World Health Organization, the African Development Bank, and the African Union, will support domestic measures, including transfers to vulnerable households, monetary and fiscal policy responses. In its regional economic outlook, the director of IMF African Department, Abebe Selesi, says the unprecedented health and economic crisis could weigh on the region's growth prospects for years to come. Gross domestic product is forecast to contract by 1.6% in 2020, which will be the worst outcome on record. And Moody's ratings agency has affirmed its rating for Nigeria's economy to a B2 due to what it terms as a downside risks to the country's credit worthiness. In its latest report, the global ratings firm says the risks have increased due to oil price shock and the financial and economic implications of the coronavirus outbreak. Moody's further explains that these shocks amplify existing credit vulnerabilities, both over the immediate and longer term. The ratings affirmation of Nigeria's B2 ratings also takes into account the government's relatively low debt burden in relation to GDP and its low external debt service needs over the next few years. In the meantime, rating agency Moody's has cut its forecast for South Africa's economy to a 2.5% contraction in 2020, citing the impact of a nationwide 5-week shutdown aimed at limiting the spread of the novel coronavirus. In early March, before it's downgraded the country's credit rating to sub-investment status, Moody's had forecast an expansion of 0.4%. Fitch and S&P Global Ratings also ranked South Africa at junk status. The country has the most confirmed coronavirus cases in sub-Saharan Africa at 2,415, a number expected to rise significantly as more tests are conducted. The national lockdown started on March 26. On Tuesday, the South African Reserve Bank said it saw gross domestic product shrinking 6.1% this year, while major banks locally and abroad see the likelihood of an even deeper recession, especially if the shutdown is extended beyond May 2. IMF projects a 5.8% shrink on the economy. In the report, Moody's reiterated its view that a credit upgrade back to investment level was unlikely given the negative outlook on the BA1 ratings. And that's a wrap on the program. Thank you for watching. I'm Chimeze Obi. You're welcome.